Hey everybody, welcome back to Joyful Homestead. Well, today is a washout. Winter is holding on with its ugly claws, and it's cold and it's rainy out, and we can't get outside to do anything with the garden or anything like that. So we've decided to pull one of our Thanksgiving turkeys out of the freezer and make some soup. And then I'm excited about that. Heidi is the queen of making soup.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, and so we're gonna pressure can a full soup dinner today.
Yeah, there's one thing to keep in mind when you can. It doesn't have to be just one thing. Now we do, like fruits or meats, we do have just one thing in the can sometimes. But to do a whole dinner and have that in the jar and be able to pull it off the shelf when you need a quick meal later on, it's golden.
And my mouth is watering just thinking about it right now. So let's get to it and show you how.
This is one of the turkeys that I bought last Thanksgiving time when they were at their rock bottom prices, because I know that I'm going to want several throughout the year and that we have freezer space to put the rest. So for the Thanksgiving one, I brine it and then I roast it. But for the other ones that I'm going to can and use for soups and things, I don't do any of that. I just boil it. So for this one, I'm going to clean it up and get it ready to put in the pot, and then I'm going to boil it. This bird is rolling right along. I cleaned it. I took the giblets out, which will be a wonderful surprise this afternoon for our chickens. And I brought this to a boil. For now, I'm gonna just keep watching and make sure that I've got the water level high enough. And over the next 2 hours, this should show signs that it's completely done. So I will see you when it's finished. The turkey is done. We've got all the meat pulled off the bone and ready to go into the soup. So I just want to explain real quick, this is a little bit different than what you might see online, because people will say that they only half cook, partially cook their turkey or chicken before they're going to can. However, we do it all the way because it is so much easier to pull the meat off the bone. And I realize it's going to be in the canner then for an additional 90 minutes, but it's in a broth, so it doesn't get overcooked. It stays real moist and tender when it's cooking in the canner for that additional 90 minutes. So that's why we fully cook it, just to get all that meat off. And then the bones are in here. Dan will tell you what he's gonna do.
Yeah, we definitely upgrade our broth a little bit in our household, rather than just using the broth that the turkey was cooked in, which is fine to do. Even water's fine to use that in your canning jars. What we have decided to do, and what we do, is a bone broth. Now it takes another 3 hours, but it's well worth it. If you put it in the Instant Pot vessel, this is the carcass, the cartilage, the bones, all of those things. Put about 3 of these capfuls of apple cider vinegar in your vessel, and then fill it up with the broth that the turkey was cooked in, up to the fill line, and then cook it for 3 hours on high. What will happen is that will leach out of the bones, all the minerals, the calcium, all of that great stuff that's in the ligaments and things. You'll be able to taste the difference, both in the really good, delicious taste, as well as all the nutrients as well.
So good.
And then we'll actually use that to fill our jars. Now again, you don't have to do this. You can just use like store-bought broth or water, but it is definitely an upgrade nutritionally and taste-wise. And if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can do it on the stove too. You just put your carcass back in that water after you've deboned, and you cook it for about 12 hours or more on the stovetop. It takes longer on the stovetop than it does here, but it's well worth it.
So he's gonna make the bone broth, and then I'm gonna use that to fill the jars and make the soup and can the soup.
It's been 3 hours, and now we have this beautiful, delicious bone broth. Now in here we've got the golden liquid that has all of the nutrients from the bones, the minerals, also the oils, and we have some bones and meat pieces. Obviously this will have to be strained out, separated. The meat pieces can be given to your dog or cat, or even the chickens. Just make sure there aren't any bone pieces in there. And then the bones themselves are a little softer now, and they can be crushed up and used to work into your compost and then eventually into your soil. But right now we're going to strain the liquid off and add it to our soup.
Okay friends, it's getting towards evening now. The sun has actually popped out a little bit, so the day got a little bit brighter and nicer, but this has been a day-long project, and I thought I should recap real quick where we are. So I boiled the turkey, and then we pulled all the meat off the bones, and then we put the bones and the soft tissue and cartilage and things into the Instant Pot, and that cooked for 3 hours. So now what we have is bone broth, and then the crushed up pieces of bone and things that Dan's gonna use for other projects like he mentioned, and then my turkey. So now what I have here is raw potatoes and raw veggies. Those are gonna be chopped up and put right into the jar. And the reason for that is because they are going to cook for 90 minutes in the canner. So now when you do canning, which we're gonna tag at the end how exactly to do pressure canning, but you'll need to look up pressure canning and how long your ingredients need to be in the pressure canner. So for meats like turkey, that has to be in the canner for 90 minutes. So that means my entire soup in each jar is going to be cooking for the 90 minutes. So the meat will be good, the bone broth in the jar will be good, and the raw vegetables and potatoes will cook as it goes. So that's why I do it that way. So I'm gonna start on these, and when everything is chopped up, then I'm gonna start to fill up my jars, and then I'll do my canning. Be thinking about any recipes that you tend to make that would go really well in a jar. Some of your favorite soups and stews that you can prepare. You don't have to do everything that we did before this point. You could start right here and start to gather the ingredients of some of your favorite soup recipes. But I wanted to use the very inexpensive turkeys that we've had frozen since Thanksgiving, and we also wanted to make the bone broth because that is just something we love to add to our soups to add the nutritional value. But you could just start from here and cook up a chicken in a skillet, or brown some ground beef, and then pull together the other ingredients that you usually would use for that recipe, mix everything together in one pot, and then start to dole it out in the jars and can from there. So just keep in mind, that is something that you can do. You can start like right here and go on to do your full meal in a jar idea. 7 jars are ready to go. This is my turkey, the bone broth, and the raw vegetables plus herbs and spices in each of these jars, and they're about ready to go into the canner behind me. So check online for canning times. Once again, you have to go with the time of whatever ingredient requires the most amount of canning time. In most cases, that's gonna be the meat. So again, this is gonna be 90 minutes because my turkey requires 90 minutes. We're gonna link at the end of the video our full canning video. This isn't really so much a canning how-to video. It's more like just the idea of a meal in a jar. This is gonna be great soup down the road. I'll pull it off the shelf and use it. I'm super excited.